Professor Safari Geoffrey John, dear Acting Rector, Madam Janet Zemba, heads of departments of academics and non-academics of TICD, my fellow member of staff, professors in the house, and doctors from other institutions, students, distinguished and invited guests, dear journalists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank Acting Rector for her warm welcome speech, and of course, Professor Safari for introducing me to this audience. Glory be to God for His grace in making us to meet today. Dear Acting Rector and participants, I'm really humbled to be the first academic staff to give a talk in the first Professorial Inaugural Lecture, and that is held today, Monday, 6th of November, 2023, for the first time in our history. I'm even becoming more humbled when I remember that I am delivering this lecture at a time when the Institute is celebrating 60 years of its establishment. The title of my lecture is Developing at the Dictate of Sector-Based Approach, and I will focus on how this approach poses a challenge to development sustainability. I have been in the academic industry for more than 2 decades, that means 20 years, researching, teaching, and offering consultant services on topics and assignments related to community development and regional development. Specifically, I have been dealing with issues to do with participation, empowerment, sensitization, gender issues, community behavior, and adaptation issues, to mention but a few. Dear Acting Rector and participants, through this time, life have taught me a lot of challenges related to sustainability. Therefore, this lecture is based on experiences collected over these decades. It is indeed more of conceptualization and not a presentation on the first-hand research. Dear Acting Rector and participants, over these 2 decades, experience has taught me that in its best, development knows no sector. As a result, to achieve development sustainably, a holistic approach is needed. This is why discipline like community development that embraces multi-sector development has to emerge. However, over decades, development practitioners have been pushing development agenda in isolation, with expertise advancing principles of their respective professional defensively. This practice, no doubt, translates itself to sector-based approach to development. As a matter of fact, looking at development practices of our day, one will definitely reach to a conclusion that our economy, social, and physical aspect of development are developing at the dictate of sector-based approach. In this lecture, I wish to explain how sector-based approach can hardly lead to sustainable development and propose collection that can be made to ensure that development interventions are not only coherent, effective, and efficient, but becomes relevant, sustainable, and have impact. Dear Acting Rector and participants, before I continue, allow me to expand what I have just said about how I wish our development intervention should be. From the project management point of view, for an intervention to be successful, at the end it should meet 6 criteria that I have already mentioned earlier. That is to say, it must be relevant, coherent, effective, and have impact and sustainable. From the figure that we see, relevance focuses on what or whether or not intervention is doing the right thing. It is interested in finding out whether or not intervention have addressed the need of the respective community. In a way, relevance is testing the ecological validity of an intervention, whereas coherence explains how well does the intervention fit with other interventions in the project area, and effectiveness is interested in telling as to whether or not intervention has achieved its objectives. Efficiency criteria measures how well are resources being used, in a way checking as to whether the intervention is cost effective or not. Impact criteria is interested in what difference the intervention makes. And sustainability, the last one, simply focus on whether or not the benefit of the intervention will last. It explains the extent to which the net benefit of the intervention continues to or is likely to continue after the phase out of the project. Dear Acting Rector and participants, in the title, I promised to focus on sector-based approach, the way it poses challenge to sustainability. I therefore feel obliged to provide more information on sustainability criteria for evaluation. By definition, sustainability is the ability of an organization to continue its mission or project outcome far into the future. It includes the continuity of the values that the project promotes, the continuity of the relationship between organizations, and the continuity of services. Dear Acting Rector and participant, the literature has it that sustainability have 5 dimensions, namely community sustainability, environmental sustainability, institutional sustainability, technological sustainability, and financial sustainability. From the figure, community sustainability addresses the issue of how well the project is rooted in the community. It describes how an intervention has successfully succeeded to transfer project ownership to the community. While environmental sustainability refers to how the intervention uses resources sustainably in such a way that the resource will never disappear or last or cause environmental degradation. Institutional sustainability described as to whether or not organization structures and rules of capable being managed by the community when the intervention has ended. Technological sustainability refers to whether or not the community is able to operate the project technology after the project team has left. It describes that sustainability to be realized, the technology to be used should be user-friendly, easily handled, and environmental friendly. The last one, financial sustainability, explains whether or not the community is able to finance the project activities after the project team have left. Dear Acting Director and participants, now that we have insight in sustainability, let me talk about the sector-based approach. The term sector has its origin from Latin word secere, which means to cut or divide in two or split. A dictionary definition for this term is a part or division, especially of a society or an economy. In this lecture, I conceive this term as developing in consideration of only one development section of a component. And I give an examples of sectors. So you have, for instance, water sector, health sector, transport sector, electricity sector, livestock sector, but in parts. While development which knows no sector is having no gaps within it. But the logic of sector-based approach is likely that it has been derived from the experience of specialization of labor, which teaches that to increase productivity, improve efficiency, and boost output production or services should be divided into several tasks. In this way, specialization of labor creates rooms for experts to do their job well. So the approach is consistent with the fact that human beings have different expertise, talents, experience, and interest, such that it is hard to find an all-knowing human being, an all-knowing expert. This fact makes the sector-based approach a necessary evil in development process. It is a necessary evil in the sense that despite of its many limitations, there is no way we can do without it. This is because of what I have said earlier, that it is hard to find an all-knowing expert due to the fact that human mind may not be able to comprehend all sector competencies. But even if it does, I cannot imagine a country which is ready to wait until its workforce acquire all knowledge and all skills to employ them. But even if we find a country like that, I cannot imagine a country or employer who is ready to spend a huge amount of financial resources to educate all citizens or employees to become competent in all sectors. Even if that is possible, I don't think it makes sense for a workforce. It makes sense for us to force experts to be competent in all sectors while they can perform their job effectively with specialization they already have. Dear Acting Rector and participant, Since we cannot do without sector-based approach, it is important to understand that in most cases, this approach has helped us to achieve but only coherence, effectiveness, and efficiency. Yes, project objectives carried through this approach are achieved. They fit with projects in the areas. They fit with national policies and guidelines, and indeed, they are efficient. However, these are the projects that dies when they are still brand new. Projects that remain white elephants or dysfunction within short time due to lack of maintenance or lack of knowledge on how to use them by the community. Dear Acting Director and participants,